Okay, folks, it's the last lesson of Unit 2. We did it. I'm so proud of all of you. You're working really hard and it's showing. So turn to page 36 and we'll run through a few problems. Put my answer key to the side. So now we're getting into interpreting what the slope means and what the y-intercept means. So for the lemonade, you know, if it was y equals 2x, 2, or the slope would be the cost of the lemonade. And the minus 20 at the end would mean that the girls paid $20 for the lemons, right? So let's talk about this. So we have running times. Always be aware of what's on your y-axis. So miles or number of miles on the y-axis, time on the x. So what is the slope? Well, if you pick 2 points, you're going to pick maybe 0, 0, and 1, 1, 5. Oh, I was off on my key. So 0, 0, and 1, 5. If you do the rise over run, you're going to start here. You're going to go up 5 and right 2 boxes. But if you look, the 2 boxes are worth 1. So again, the rise over run here would be 5 over 1. So your slope is going to be change in y over change in x, change in y, 5, and the change in x is 1. So a little bit new right here. Oldie but a goodie, always works. So your slope is 5. What is the meaning of the slope? Well, if you want to look at it this way, it's the change in y over the change in x. Well, it's miles on the y-axis over hours on the x-axis. So if it's 5 over 1, notice I left it as a ratio. It's on purpose. So it's 5 miles every hour. So 5 miles per hour. Per hour. Boom. Okay. Y-intercept is the value of y when x is 0. So 2 places now that we can get this from. We put it in our little homemade data table right here. So when x was 0, y was 0. Y-intercept is 0. Also, if you look at your graph, it's where the graph of your line intersects the y-axis, which is right here at the origin. So your y-intercept is 0. And so what does that mean? That means at time 0, there was no miles traveled. So we started at time 0, no miles have been traveled. I was going to say no miles. No miles have been run. I was going to say no miles have been. Paying attention to the title, I almost just said no miles. We haven't gone any miles, but you can say no miles have been run. I wasn't paying attention to the title. I haven't gone any miles. Haven't run any miles. Okay, next one. What is the slope of this graph? So this graph does not have a title. And we're looking at cost compared to miles. And so the slope, you can do a couple different ways. You can pick a point, a couple points, 2 points. Make a data table. X, Y. So I'd pick 0, 2. See, I'm doing this at night. This is why I'm not as good, because I'm all foggy. Remember, I always told you I do better in the morning. The second point I would say is 2, 3. I'm rolling now, though. So your change in y is 1. Change in x is 2. So if you do change in y over change in x, you're going to get 1 over 2. And if you use the rise run method, up 1, and then if you went the horizontal change would be 1 over 2 as well. So slope triangle works perfectly good as well. So if your slope is 1/2, what does that mean? Well, the y-axis is your cost. The x-axis is miles. I think this is the key right here. When it asks you the question about interpreting the slope, setting this up and really just taking a second to look at the labels will help you work out a correct answer. So remember you had 1/2, so the cost is $1 for every 2 miles. So it's $1 every 2 miles, and it's okay to say that. So $1 for every 2 miles. However, if you want to take it a step further, go back to our first lesson, you could say unit rate 50 cents per mile, per 1 mile, right? I like that better. Okay. What is the y-intercept? So the y-intercept from your data table that you made, if you go to where x is 0, you can see that the y value is 2, telling you your y-intercept is 2. Pink. Go to your graph, find where your line crosses the y-axis. It crosses at 2, so both of them should be the same. The y-intercept is 2. So, can you hear my chair squeaking? Terrible. It's a very old chair. Old as that ruler. Okay, what does the y-intercept represent? It represents, well, at 0 miles, it's going to cost us $2. So before I'm assuming that this title is like the taxi cab or something. So before you even travel any distance, you're going to owe, say, the cabbie $2. So if you want to say go 0 miles, it's going to be $2. So you're going to say the initial cost, say, is $2. The initial cost is $2. From there, they will add 50 cents per mile. So if you go 1 mile, it'll be 50 cents for the 1 mile in addition to the $2 initial fee. So $2.50 total. Oh my gosh, I'm at 7 minutes and 37 seconds. Let's do another one. Okay. This one's different because the line is decreasing. So what is the slope? So you can use your slope triangle and say it goes down 1. And then if you look, this box is actually worth, let's see, 25. So down 1, so -1 over 25. Or you can use our Goldie but Goodie. Pick 2 points. So we have the point 0, 15. Good thing I have my answer key. I almost said 0, 25. And 25, 14. So the y values are decreasing by 1. So the change in y is 1. The change in x is 25. So your slope is -1 over 25. Change in y on top, change in x on the bottom. Okay, so what is the meaning of the slope? Well, again, I like to put that little initial thing like I did up here, where you look at the labels of the axes. So the y-axis is gallons in the tank. So gallons. And then the x-axis is telling you how many miles you've driven. So just, you don't have to write the whole thing if you don't want. And so you're going to do, let's see, minus -1 over 25. So what does this mean? Every 25 miles, you are losing a gallon of gas, right? So you use 1 tank or 1 gallons in tank, 1 gallon every 25 miles. miles. All right, what is the y-intercept? The y-intercept is where you started. I'm getting ahead of myself. The y-intercept is the value of y when x is 0, so 15. You see that there in my little chart. I always pick that point on purpose. Remember we talked about that? Or you can just look at the graph. and see where this line intersects your y-axis at 15. So your y-intercept is 15, and what does that mean? So that means before you even drive, whoa. Hold on, Ms. Raymond. Before you even drive, how many gallons do you have? So that means that you start with 15 gallons. Start with 15 gallons. Okay. It's like an average size tank. My tank holds like 17 gallons. Just a little side fact. Okay, so we have a lot more practice we can do. We have this page, and we have, these are my, I love these pages. So we'll be doing that in class, but for today, can you go ahead and try your best on the exit ticket? We talked about the importance of the new material and seeing how well you're doing, but also don't forget those oldies but goodies. Those are important too. And I'll see you in class.